Now, early January, really, it was only a couple of weeks ago, I think last week actually, Gartner published their 9 future of work trends for 2024. And among those, there was one prediction in particular that caught my eye. According to their own research, Gartner found that 63% of candidates rated 4-day workweek as the top future of work offering that would attract them to a job. Now, we can add to this the fact that 71% of specifically millennial workers say that the COVID era made them rethink the place that work should have in their lives. And also, we can add to this the fact that organizations are evaluating whether a shift toward a condensed work week will meet growing employee expectations and help companies attract and retain employees. And if we take all of this together, then all of a sudden, the 4-day work week doesn't seem to be all that unlikely anymore. Or does it? A perhaps more unpopular opinion comes from a 2023 Forbes article stating that a 4-day work week isn't a miracle solution, and it gives 3 reasons for that. 1, the 4-day work week does not address the core issue of how we work. The 4-day work week still measures work by time rather than by output. And the 4-day work week, what it will create, according to this Forbes article, is that high achievers will ignore it and low achievers, as they call them, will take advantage of it. Now, all of this brings us to our following and final statement. In 2024, 4-day work weeks go from radical to routine. This is actually something that came from that Gartner thing. So 4-day work weeks will go from radical to routine. And I saw it and I thought, interesting statement. All right, Alex, what do you vote on this one?
I would say not yet, but most likely yes.
All right, Ness, what do you vote?
I'm going to do a pure no.
All right, nice. Okay, Alex, please elaborate.
I think, your statement saying 2024 will be the year of the 4-day week. I think it's, again, like remote work is way too early to make conclusions. We are seeing some companies, trying to go with the 4-day week. There is a lot of pilots. There's one in the UK, one that just did in South Africa. I think one in Belgium too, who are showing great results. And they're actually showing that most companies, above 80% or 85% of the companies are keeping the 4-day week, because it's just showing no signs of losing productivity. It's getting better, happiness among the workers. And it's really, showing good signs. However, can we make conclusion that it's the future? Yes, I think it's very early. However, I think it's, the same way we talked earlier about people don't want to go back to the office 5 days a week. People want to have more flexibility, and people want to have the choice to choose what's best for them. The 4-day week, in my opinion, is a really good option. And I believe that we will see more and more companies going, on that road, especially because it just gives freedom to people. Ness, you've been, rightly talking a lot about inclusion. And I think that's something that we haven't tackled, clearly. I wouldn't say even enough. We just haven't tackled, at all in the last maybe 20, 30, 50 years. And, the 4-day week, when for example, I'm following some companies who moved to the 4-day week, and when you are listening to the actual employees, they just give good reasons of why they're loving it. That also shows that the work that we've been doing in 5 days, there were clearly 20% of the time where we're just not productive. Because if people can do the same work in 4 days, I think we can even debate that, what are people doing for 5 days? And is 5 days the right amount, or the 9 to 5, 5 days a week, is it the right amount of time that we should work? Probably not, but I guess it's a different debate. And people, I've got a small daughter. If I would be working 4 days a week, I could maybe spend more time with her, or I could maybe have a side project. And I think that's why it's working, and that's why we're going to see more and more. But again, it comes to, trusting your employees, and it's about accepting that, your employees might be different than you and I'm talking as a co-founder, and your employees, yes, are working for you, are getting a salary from you as an employer, but they also want to do different things, raising your kids, side project, go on holidays or whatever. So that's why I think it's a really good thing, and we're going to see more of it. But is it going to be the majority? I don't think so. So yeah, that's my opinion about it.
All right. Thank you very much for opening this debate. Ness, it was quite a strong no.
Yeah.
So let me hear more about that, please.
And let me clarify. There's a difference between would I want a 4-day work week and do I think it's what's going to happen in 2024 and even beyond. And the reason I say no is, I was going to say 5, but I'll remember if I can remember the 5 reasons. One of the first reasons is HR labor law in different jurisdictions. The second reason is really around, I would say, global immaturity around ways of working that enable, well, I come from an agile human-centered design background, but having product backlogs, looking at flow of work, it's the ability to visualize the work and understand the work. The third is around market pressures. So in competitive markets, there is a perception, and remember, a lot of market isn't dictated in share price or IPOs always around reality. It's about perception of the company and what they can do and the founders. So when one company is potentially seen to do less hours, we know that doesn't mean less quality or output or outcome. But if it's perceived that way, a competitor can be like, no, we're going 5-6 days a week and crush that. So I think there's the fear of market pressure. I think the fourth reason it's struggling, and this I'm talking to a few HR colleagues, is like wonderful work done by Jessica Swan and Matt Bradburn in Built for People operations and products, like building people operations like a product space. And one of the hardest areas here is around compensation benefits. And it's a design question, but some companies are saying, great, work 4 days a week, but the comp and ben is a little bit less. Other companies have done completely, like, it's up to you. We trust you. As Alex was saying, it's about trust. Get the outcomes, not just the outputs, but the outcomes happening. And we don't really care what you do with the rest of your time. That is a huge piece along with the HR labor law. And the fifth reason is around scale. To my knowledge, a lot of the companies who are doing this are at smaller scale. And then once again, it's like I said, the big companies are leading the narrative in the media on remote or not. I think here of what works, what might work in a certain country in their labor law and for a certain size of company might not scale. And indeed, people I've talked to when they had that sort of real flexibility 4-day, it worked at this size, it didn't work at this size. So I think with those 5 big meaty design challenges, I just don't think 2024 will be the year to do it. And the sixth reason I forgot is desirability. Some people do and some people don't want to do it. Some people truly love working. So that goes back to that Forbes article. So in that sense, I think there's so much systemic change that would need to happen. Can it happen? Sure. Will it happen in the next 5 years at scale? That's why I'm like a clear no. It's the design challenge rather than the moral or the desirable challenge for at least us in this call or in this room.
I think that's a very valid point that you're making there. And I think also, and that probably also is where it comes from in the Gartner article, like it's going to go from radical to routine in 2024. I think that might be a bit too optimistic. And I do agree. I think there's so many things that need to fall into place first and need to be sorted out first before we can actually go to that 4-day work week. And I indeed do not necessarily think that it's a matter of willingness. And once again, I think that you both have been agreeing on that all along our 3 conversations, is that not everybody will actually be very happy to work 4 days a week. Some people will still want to work 5 days or maybe even 6 or 7. I don't know. And that's totally fine. So it's obviously here too very hard to generalize. Yeah, I think that brings us to the end of this episode. But I do want to ask either both of you if there's any final words or thoughts that you would like to share. Alex, I'm going to start with you quickly.
No, as I said before, I think we are, for us, like leaders, I think we are living a difficult and challenging time because there were just so many changes in the last few years. And I think the human being is not ready for such a big change in such a short time. It will take time. And I think we need to accept that. Me first, sometimes I would like for things to move quicker, but it just doesn't work like this. But I'm really positive about the future of work. And I think despite everything we can hear in the media and all the crisis in tech and all that, things will be good. I really see, for example, remote work as not just a way of working from home, but a way to redistribute wealth, around the world, because now you can be based in a tiny country in a small village in Africa. As soon as you have Wi-Fi and a laptop, you can work for an American company, when before you just had to go to New York or to San Francisco. And I think that's wonderful to have this opportunity. However, it will take time, because it's not only affecting the way we work, but the way we live, like I said before. But that's my saying. I think will be good. As soon as we all agree and understand that we are all different, and we just have to accept that.
Thanks, Alex. Ness, are there any final thoughts?
Yeah, final thoughts. Well, we've had 3 interesting topics today, but for anyone listening or even ourselves, I think it's a thought or an ask that any time a provocative statement comes up, or media sensationalized article, or just any article, we step back and ask ourselves, is this the right question? What is the true question I'm answering? And my ask is that we look at all of these as design opportunities or design problem spaces, and a question or opportunity to further inclusion, belonging, and environmental sustainability. Because I think when we peel back the layers, that's what's been missing, and the future of work and remote are just pathways to enable more inclusive and equitable futures.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you both of you for joining me for this episode.
Brilliant. Thanks, Nili. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, Nili, and thank you, Ness, for your time.
And one last question, perhaps. If people want to reach out to either of you or connect with you, so where can they best do so, Ness?
I think for me, I'm quite active on LinkedIn, so that's best. And I'm an elder millennial, starting my Instagram journey at nessmontequera_coaching.
Thank you. And Alex, where can people find you?
Just LinkedIn. That's the only social media I use. And I'm also quite active, and I just answer to everyone. So just add me and ask me any question if you want.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you everybody for tuning in to today's episode of HR Debatable. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like this episode, share it with colleagues, friends, family even if you like. And I hope to see you soon for another episode of HR Debatable. Thank you and goodbye.